This is the book that I took with me to Vietnam. I went with 5 friends for 3 weeks, and we backpacked all across Vietnam from north to south and then back up to north again. It was a real adventure. And so I tried to, at certain points in the trip, whenever I got the chance, I would make sketches in here with my ink pen. I've got a Pentel brush pen, I think that's what it's called. And but yeah, let's have a look in there, and I'll show you what I was able to draw while I was there. This is the first page. This is before I actually got to Vietnam. We stopped off in China for a little while. I had a bit of time in Shenzhen airport to make some sketches. Typical landscape, but tried to create it in a more illustration kind of style, flat contours, just trying some new things, trying some different style clouds, because I'm always chasing after photorealism, but it's not always a good thing. We stopped there for over 7 hours. So I had the chance to draw a lot of the people that went past, and air hostess going from one flight to another or something. Yeah, I got a bit creative with the hair. Whenever I had an idea or my imagination would take over, I just let myself be creative with it, and I didn't feel like I had to draw it completely realistically. Chinese lettering that I really love. I was just drawing the lettering that I would see. This one probably says bathroom or something, like exit or something, but I love the way the lettering is in China. It all looks so nice to me. These glasses are really in fashion in China. More observational drawings of people in Shenzhen airport. So this lady, she's a security guard, but she kind of looked like a little girl as well, which I found very endearing. This guy looked very square. He looked like a box, so I kind of drew him as a box. He's a box man. Getting used to the medium of using a brush pen with permanent ink, so there's no erasing with this pen, and I don't make any construction lines throughout this entire book. I start putting it down and hope for the best. So sometimes I made mistakes, and with this one I didn't get the hair quite right. She's wearing a face mask, but then I wanted her to have a certain type of hair. The hair didn't work, so I kept on adding to it, and it just got out of hand. And then people started saying that they liked it, and I thought to myself, really, that's a mistake. People I've observed, people I've seen who I think have a natural appeal to them, something appealing about them. Maybe it's the way they do their hair or the way they stand or something. I kind of pick them out and try to make a sketch of them. I saw this design on a man's shirt while we were on the plane, tried to get an observation of it, and then tried to draw it really quick. Pretty sure it's more of like a Japanese design. Oh well, I think it looks cool. The koi fish is a really cool looking fish. Later on I went in and added some bamboo shoots. Type of pen, I think it really lends itself to drawing the long bamboo stems. An idea for a dress, fantasy landscape within the dress. A sketch from my imagination, inspired by Rob Gonsalves, one of my favorite painters, and it's just like a girl's hair that turns into a waterfall at the bottom. I could have executed it a lot better, but oh well. I kind of like how these swirls turned out.
In order to basically convince all the village people that they had to shift this capital, he had to base it on some sort of legend. So he basically made up that he'd seen a yellow dragon descending from heaven down to this area. That meant that it was a great place to plot up. That's why this capital is here.
Explored Hanoi, had massive culture shock going to that city. It's just like pure chaos there. It's amazing. I say culture shock. I was like pleasantly shocked. Like I really enjoyed the culture shock there. Just like the traffic system, the heat, the food, just everything about it was just crazy. So now we jump forward in time to Sapa, which is the very north of Vietnam. We took a sleeper bus up there and we took a 14-kilometer hike up into the mountains, and we visited these mountain villages. And the first thing you observe when you meet the guides is just how small they are. They are tiny, and the way they dress is amazing. They sort of hand weave the clothes and they are spectacular. The patterns they've got in there, and it just looks amazing. So these are two of the guides that were showing us around, actually helping us. We're like grown men and they were helping us up the mountain.
Yeah, because our country's not as good. we have to visit loads of countries.
Here's a side-on portrait of our guide that we had in Sapa. I tried to embellish it a little bit with these patterns, a bit inspired by the clothing, but didn't really. I could have gone further with that, I think.
That's a workout.
Yeah, you try.
Hold my banana. It's a bit low for me.
Yeah.
A bit hard.
Yeah.
We then took an internal flight to Ho Chi Minh. So this is when we arrive in Ho Chi Minh. Ho Chi Minh is one of my favorite cities in the world. What an experience just walking down the street in Ho Chi Minh with skyscrapers and lights and things, restaurants, parties, and we stayed at a backpacker lodge there. Walking down the main strip, the main street for the first time, and I tried to sketch what it felt like rather than what it actually looks like, how it felt to walk down that street. And hopefully I sort of captured the rush of walking down and having like all these people rushing past you, motorbikes, stands with food, so many different smells as you walk down there. Not all of them good, some of them bad. Signs and stuff like in different languages, sounds as well. Like it was just a complete attack on the senses, and I loved it. A lot of the buildings there have animated light displays on the sides of the buildings, really like sophisticated light displays. And this one was like that as well. Very hard to depict light when you're just working in black and white sketches like this. So I accidentally made a little error here. I accidentally made a mark with my pen, and I couldn't do anything about that. But what I decided to do was to actually just block in that with a sort of semicircle of shadow, and that ended up kind of strengthening the overall design of the page. So a lot of happy accidents, or like accidents that I was able to work with and make into something that was an addition to the page.
Boy, what's your head, Jamie? Wait. Not cool, Dad. Dan, enough.
It was the only day when I was ill, and yeah, I just picked up a bug somehow. Very common when you're traveling. I got the strength to go upstairs to the bar and take some pictures from the roof bar, and this was just one of the buildings. Now I've sketched it in this checker pattern. I don't really like it that much. Lots of motorbikes in Vietnam. A lot more people drive motorbikes than drive. It's practically easier and more affordable. It was very common to see 2-3 kids on the back of a motorbike being driven to school with their parents. That's just something you don't see in the UK. The proportions of him don't look right, so I'm not really happy with that, but I tried again, and this is the one that I actually meant to sketch the first time. It's moped taxi drivers, and you'd see girls just on the back with like both feet over the side and like just texting while they're in this traffic going the wrong way down the highway, motorbikes everywhere. So as soon as I saw that, someone texting on the back of a motorbike, I really wanted to draw it. I think I could have drawn her a lot better, but at least I got the idea down. If I was a perfectionist, I wouldn't get anything done in this sketchbook. This one was on the way to the Mekong Delta, and this was on the motorway, looking out of the window and seeing some really interesting buildings. Just as I go past, you know, not like tourist spectacles, just this one had like multiple tiered levels to the rooftops, and then on the rooftops there were sort of little forests, and yeah, some interesting designs that I only got one glimpse of it. It wasn't even fast enough for me to get out my camera and quickly take a picture, so I had to just save it in my mental memory bank and try to sketch it later, and I vowed that I would try to sketch it, and this is my attempt. Ended up going with a sort of surrealist thing with it just out in the middle of nowhere, and then another one in the distance. This was at first going to be me looking out the window of the bus, and then I decided I didn't like it halfway through, changed them to bamboo shoots. Okay, so that is the end of part 1. I'm going to be releasing part 2 this time next week, so make sure you subscribe for that. Here's a little preview of what you might see in that one. Make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss that, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.